and Tibbs in Florida Road, Durban on Friday night. Up until now, only one of the shooters were highlighted, but upon closer inspection, the other shooter can also be seen on CCTV camera firing his gun into the group. The first shooter arrives on scene across the road from where AKA and his friends were having dinner. The second shooter appears next to AKA's vehicle close by and waits by the pole. As soon as AKA and his friends come out of the restaurant, the first shooter leaves his mark, crosses the road, and approaches AKA from behind. The first shooter rounds a car and sprints towards AKA, shooting him at close range, before fleeing in the same direction he came from. So let's take a look at that again to see the second shooter's involvement. As the first shooter moves in to shoot AKA, the second shooter draws his weapon and fires at the group from a short distance away. He then also flees with the first. However, this second angle shows the exact path the killer took on his way to shoot AKA. Here he is embracing his friend outside of the venue, seconds before the gunman arrives. At this exact moment, the gunman arrives, walking slowly towards AKA and his group. He looks over his shoulder, down the road, and continues on his way. This is where he pulls the gun, it seems like from the back of his pants. I slow down the footage from here so that I can show you exactly what happens in the next few seconds. However, I also want to show as much detail of the gunman as possible in case anyone knows who this might be. He raises the gun, sprints towards AKA, holds the gun to his head, and shoots him at point-blank range. AKA dies instantly. However, the gunman continues sprinting away from the scene across the road in the direction from which he came from. I have tried to enhance the footage, however the resolution is extremely low, but these three images might be the best view we have of the attacker.
I did say I'll prove that Don Design was involved in the killing of AKA. The only way I'll prove that is through the CCTV footage. I don't know them personally, I've never met them, I was just a fan. So I'll only be using the footage to prove this whole shandies. So in order for you to understand this whole thing, let us look at this side first. Now look at Don tilting his head to talk to the second shooter. They talk for like 2 seconds and then they get disturbed by the people coming out of the club. After they get disturbed, he starts to fake pee. He's not urinating, guys. That is a fake action. He had to take that action because he cannot be seen talking to this guy. And that fake pee only lasted for like 5 seconds. These people were having drinks. It should have been long. Plus, don't you guys like shake your shandies after urinating? Now please watch this whole thing because it will make sense at the end when I connect the dots. Now guys, look at the second shooter's body language. His whole body is faced towards Don. But the minute they get disturbed, his whole body turns into hiding mode. He turns the direction he's looking at. The minute the crew comes out, the minute they get disturbed, he turns. It's like Don was saying, here they come, here they come. And then that's when he changes his body. So if the guy was just a stranger to Don, why do they both stop talking when the rest of the crew comes out? And Don was the one to stop talking first. And he was looking at the crew with the corner of his eye. Now guys, I'll come back to the side. I'll come back to this side. And when I do, please remember these two guys that are getting into this car. Remember these two guys that are getting into this car. Ne? Alright. Now before I show you the 5 hitmen, let us talk about this fake stretch that Don did. Let us talk about this fake stretch, guys. When somebody stretches, their feet usually get lifted up by that stretch. And we see none of that here. You can't stretch and your feet don't stretch. Plus, why did that stretch start like a boxing match? Before it starts to stretch, he's holding it in, waiting for the perfect moment to send out that signal. And when he starts to send that signal, it starts at the bottom up. He's even walking while he's stretching. Guys, do you know how difficult it is to walk while stretching? And when we stretch, guys, we look like ducks and penguins. He looks so straight and composed. Now, the moment we've been waiting for. The video starts here now. Dawn Design is the first person to leave the club to give signal to 5 men. Yes, 5 men, guys. Now, the first guy is, of course, identified as the first shooter. The guy who actually shot AKA. That is our first guy. The second shooter is right here, crossing and taking his position. We don't know when he sent him that signal, because we don't have a full footage. The footage starts halfway. But this is our second guy, guys. Now, our number 3, 4, and 5 are using this getaway car. Remember, I showed you 2 guys getting into a car? There are actually 3. 2 are in black and 1 is wearing a white top or hoodie. They were standing on the road, and as soon as our Dawn starts to signal, they take their positions, and their position is inside the getaway car. Now, I'm calling it a getaway car because they will use that car to fetch the 2 gunmen. We really need CCTV footage from all other places, but we know that is not possible because I think everyone is scared. Now that I've identified everyone, this is how this hit plays out. Dawn signals to everyone for everyone to take their positions. Everyone takes their position. Dawn looks around. Everyone takes their position. Dawn looks around to check if the coast is clear, and yes, it's clear because no one's coming. He then proceeds to go straight to shooter number 2. They exchange a few words until they get disturbed, and that's when he starts to fake pee. So now everyone's waiting for shooter number 1 to do his job. But we don't know when exactly that will happen because Dibs must move. So that AKA is alone. Now no one knows what to do. That's why everyone's all over the place. But it finally happens. AKA gets shot, and now that's when the getaway car can move to fetch those 2 shooters before they get caught. You can see the car starts to move after AKA gets shot. And why were these 2 cars blocking the way? So guys, we don't know what happens next because this is where the CCTV footage ends. But that day, there was no way AKA was going to survive. I only see 5 men. There could be more. There could be more.
We are all heartbroken. I went in. To be honest with you, the hip-hop game has a glitch right now. People can't even string a sentence together. People are just all broken. But my personal view is that this country called South Africa is not what you all think it is. The democratic state is in the center, and on the left there's a criminal state, and on the right there's a corporate state. And all these two, all that they're doing, they're squeezing that democratic state, and they're squeezing the life out of it. And that's why we are losing lives every day. The old people do not care for the young people. I can name them. I can use up this interview just naming all our people that are dying at the hands of the criminal state. So if the young people of this country, who are the majority of this country, don't realize that the list is long, it's just a matter of time. Next time, we must now be normalized
I must say that after Keenan, I must be ready to go bury someone. So I must start freeing up my weekends because all my peers are going. All the young people are going. What's happening to the future of this country? The young people are dying, and intentionally and deliberately, not by mistake, not because of social ills and what young people are doing, maybe drinking and driving. Our people, our young people, those city lights are gone. City light was shot in front of everyone. Where's city lights now? 6 feet under, we forgot about him. It's a matter of time. We're going to forget about Keenan because they are forcing us to normalize the death of young people like we are being forced to normalize electricity, load shedding, and all this nonsense that's happening in our country.
Really, to the Forbes family, I just want to say thank you for sharing your son with us. He loved his family. He loved loud. Everybody, he loved them so loud. Up until that last moment when he and Murder were posing together, and you could just see that that's his love, you know. So thank you to the Forbes family for sharing him with us. It's been good watching him from where he began to being an international mega star. And my condolences to the family, to Lynn, to Tony, who he loved, and Cairo as well. Yeah, man, like that it's so painful because he loved Cairo. We saw that. We loved to see it. He was internationally acclaimed. He was acclaimed all over the continent, all over the country, all over the world, and he represented us. He flew the South African flag high. It was never just about him and his name. It was never just about, you know, his music, but at all times, he always brought it back to South Africa. He was such a patriot. So not only have we lost, you know, just the best music. I got so excited when I found out he was releasing music again, you know, and it's a loss not only just because of what he meant to us in the summertime or when we're all hanging out together or whatnot, but what he meant to us as a country, you know.